Asian cookery is absolutely fantastic. There's so many different flavors, techniques, textures, smells, all of that different type of stuff to the point that it all tastes absolutely incredible. In this one, we're gonna be doing beef short rib hot pot. It's a soup base, and we're gonna cook that beef short rib in the soup, and it's gonna fall off the bone and literally melt in your mouth. Also, before we get started, go follow me on Instagram and TikTok. I'm trying to get 10,000 followers on both, and we're pretty close on TikTok right now. And consider signing up to my Patreon page where you get early access to each new video. Plus, I'm gonna be adding a whole load of new features soon. I can't thank all of the Patreon members enough for everything they do, all the support. It really does help me out as a creator. Please sit back, relax, and enjoy. Alright guys, starting us off, we're going to need 8 spring onions or scallions, and with these, slice off the roots and save them for a stock or use them as earbuds, and with 2 to 3 at a time, slice them on a slight angle the whole way across. Usually I'd say separate the green stems from the white roots, but for this recipe it doesn't matter because we're going to be using the whole thing. Next is 15 grams or 0.5 ounces of freshly peeled ginger, to which we can thinly slice into a nice consistent sized strips, stack those strips together, and thinly slice into matchstick cuts, which is called Julienned in the correct culinary terms. For an optional ingredient, here I have 2 bunches of baby bok choy that will be used later on in the recipe, but if you did want to use it, slice off the roots, saving them for compost, then separate, wash, and set the leaves aside. Last but not least, the main ingredient is 1.2 kilos or 2.6 pounds of beef short ribs that you should be able to get the size that I have here, but if you can't, you can always ask a butcher to cut them up for you, but if you prefer, you can just leave them whole. Place a large pot onto your stovetop over a high heat. Once hot, pour in 1 tablespoon or 20 milliliters of peanut oil, then with the short ribs, gently place them in fat capped down and sear for 3 minutes or until a beautiful golden crust is formed. After 3 minutes and you're happy with the colour, flip these over and sear for another 3 minutes on the remaining 3 sides with a total time of 12 minutes altogether, which will ensure we get maximum flavour and lock it all in. Now once that's done, add in 2 tablespoons or 60 grams of red miso paste to deliver a meaty umami flavour, 90 milliliters or 90 grams of soy sauce for a salty rich flavour, 130 milliliters or 130 grams of mirin for a sweet umami flavour, 2 liters or 8 cups of chicken stock to create the foundation and base for our broth, 3/4 of the sliced spring onion or scallion, saving the remaining quarter for garnish, and finally add in the julienne ginger for a nice fresh pungent and aromatic flavour. Give this all a really big mix still over a high heat using a wooden spoon or silicone spatula, ensuring that the miso paste is broken up to allow those flavours to become friends and bring this pot of deliciousness to a boil, and once achieved, place on a lid or foil if you don't have one, reduce the heat to low and simmer for 50 minutes, which is 50, not 15. 50 minutes later, carefully remove the lid, being careful of the escaping steam, and on the surface of our broth there will be a little bit of oil that's a good idea to remove. To do this, very lightly lay the bottom of a spoon onto the broth and push down gently to scoop up the fat layer, placing it into a bowl or container that you're happy to throw away. Don't pour this down the drain as the fat will solidify and clog your drain pipes, which is definitely something you don't want to happen. And once that's done, place the lid back on and simmer for another 50 minutes. Now 15 minutes before the short ribs are done, place a saucepan of water over a high heat and bring it to a boil. Add in 270 grams or 9.5 ounces of soba noodles. Leave them for 20 seconds before twisting and cooking them as per the packet instructions, which should be around the 4-minute mark. Once nice and al dente, these can then be removed and drained through a sieve or colander. Going back to the hot pot, carefully remove the lid again, being careful of that steam. Add in 1 tablespoon or 20 milliliters of rice wine vinegar to add a slight sweet acidic touch, also adding in the baby bok choy. Give this all a good mix and simmer for a final 4 minutes to very slightly soften the bok choy. Also give it a quick taste to tease yourself with the incredible flavour, then remove it from the stovetop. To serve this up, place the soba noodles into a large bowl, adding in as much or as little as you'd like, with this recipe making 4 servings. Gently place over the short ribs on top, being careful that the soft meat doesn't slip from the bone. Place over some of that al dente baby bok choy, and be sure to cover all of this with that incredible broth, which will help lube up the noodles. Add over the remaining spring onion or scallion as a garnish to freshen it up, and then what we've created here is the most flavoursome beef short rib hot pot that looks, smells and tastes insanely good. Also, I don't have any chopsticks, so fork and spoon it is to then pull apart that melt in your mouth beef, and to make all of this worthwhile, we can then dig in.